Back to Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. As you can see, oh, hi, Miss Paula. I saw that you were here early. As you can see, I'm wearing my, oh, and hi, Mrs. G. Thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you. I am wearing my Happy on Mondays t-shirt in case you can't see the Happy on Mondays part. I'll have to lean back a little bit so you can see that. This is my t-shirt from the channel Happy on Mondays. And she is selling all of her merch. 100% of the proceeds go to help stop human trafficking. And so I bought my t-shirt, which I don't need another t-shirt, but I buy black t-shirts because I'm a biker. And us, Harley riders wear black t-shirts. So at least that's my image of a Harley rider. So hopefully everybody can hear me. Can you hear me okay? We'll just double check that. I don't know why. Oh, good. You guys can hear me because somebody mentioned a black t-shirt. Yes. I love charity. I love community service. And I just wanted to mention that at the beginning of the live, because what I'm going to talk about today, I don't have my normal script. I'm really tired. I've been puppy sitting and my puppy isn't feeling all that well. So, but he's laying down sleeping, letting me try to get through this live. So, anyway, what I wanted to talk about today, because this has been on my heart to talk about for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I just never do, but I was starting, I said, I'm going to wear this t-shirt for this live. But I want to talk about free resources. I have saved money, paid off debt, built wealth based on using free resources. One of the free resources is the Libby app. You can get it on your phone, but all you do is go to your local library, you get your library card from the local library, you punch that code for your local library card into the Libby app, and you can get free books. Now, this works well in big cities, right? Or places with a lot of libraries or big library system, county system. I am in a small town in South Alabama. We don't have a big library system. And so the amount of books is limited, as opposed to when I lived in Maryland. The county that I was in there was a very wealthy county. It was Montgomery County in Maryland. It was a very wealthy county. But their library system had a ton of free books, and free audio. And Mrs. G says that she has just one library in her county too. So yeah, Mrs. G and I are basically on the same geographical plane. Right? We're like sort of straight across, I think, because she's in South Georgia and I'm in South Alabama, but I'm near the Georgia border, right? So we are sort of, I think, on the same geographical part of the country. We're probably not that far from each other, an hour or two, but we're basically at the same level in the country, just above Florida. And so that's what I think, Mrs. G. I think that you and I are really neighbors, just go straight across. If I go straight east, I will hit you, I think. I'm pretty sure. But what I wanted to talk about this morning, because I'm just doing a random no topic live today, is the free audiobooks that I have on YouTube. For a long time, I've done free whatever I can find on YouTube. And what I have is, and I didn't know this until I started getting into these communities, that you could share your playlists. See, I had all my playlists that were my own playlists. I had them, not my videos. I'm talking about other things, like let's say my music that I like to listen to, or playlists on something, right? I would have all those private. And I didn't realize you could share those on your channel. Now, when people watch those playlists, you don't get watch hours, which is cool with me. I'm trying to share the resources. And so, yeah, see, I'm not in Mobile, Alabama. I'm on the East Coast of Alabama. So I'm closer to you than Mobile. Mobile is on the other side. And speaking of Mobile, little side trip, everybody. I'm still trying to get to my topic. Okay, I haven't done that yet. But a little side trip is I hope to go to Louisiana on Monday to meet another YouTuber that I've met, another YouTube creator. So I hope to do that on Monday. I love traveling to meet people that I've sort of built a connection with and actually meet them face to face. That's one of the things I just love doing. So let's get to my topic because I ramble and then I never get to the topic, which is finance audiobooks on YouTube. I listen to a lot of motivational YouTube channels. I listen to audiobooks that are free on YouTube. And especially I listen to audiobooks about finance or about real estate or different topics where I could listen to the audiobook and still work, in the background, or be driving my car across the country and be listening to an audiobook and learning. Now, well, I will. Yes, I do plan on that. Mrs. G said that I should make content when I'm on my trip to go meet the other YouTube creator in Louisiana. And I really plan to. I may even do a live while I'm there, with the other YouTube creator. But definitely I'm making videos, of me and the other YouTube creator just sort of hanging out and talking. And yeah, so we'll see, because I'm not sure if my friend is still in Louisiana. If he's still in Louisiana on Monday, then I'm going. I wanted to go this week, but I had to puppy sit this week, so I didn't go. So anyway, what I'm going to talk about is just a few books, and you could go to my YouTube channel and see the finance audiobooks on YouTube. That's a playlist on my channel. And again, I don't care about the watch hours. Now I am getting over 900 subscribers now, so I'm starting to care about watch hours, right? Only because the money that I make someday, and I don't care when it is, but someday that money will go to help the homeless, right? And if it's a year from now that I get monetized, I don't care, because I'm retired and I'm having fun on YouTube. I have multiple streams of income. So I don't need a seventh, let's say I have 4 or 5, however many I have. I don't need a 7th stream of income from YouTube. Okay, I have plenty of different streams of income. So that's why my channel is to help the homeless. And when I started YouTube, I said, I need a purpose. I need a reason to keep doing YouTube. And if your reason is to make money, let that be your why. Always have a why for what you're doing, and you can figure out how. So always have a why. And so my why is helping the homeless, which keeps me doing YouTube, even though a lot of times I'm like, hey, I'm retired. I don't want to do this anymore. I love watching and supporting YouTube channels, not so much creating, for YouTube. So yes, Mrs. G, yeah, I have 909. I thought I had 907 yesterday. See, so I'm moving up in the world. I'm moving up in the world. I'm telling you. I was talking yesterday on the phone, and we're going to get to a couple of these book titles here, but I was talking to an old classmate, a childhood friend. We have been friends over 50 years on the phone yesterday, and I told my friend about my YouTube channel, and my friend subscribed. So my friend said, well, now you have one more subscriber than you had before. And so that's what I love. That's what I love. And I'm hoping in June to go out to the Pacific Northwest and visit my childhood friend we've been friends since elementary school. So Yes, Mrs. G, I am moving on up like the Jeffersons. And I love that song. And that song is related to my topic, which are these audiobooks on finance. You know, there are some YouTube channels. Now, there are audiobooks. I'm going to talk about two different kinds here. There are regular books that people have written that have been made into audiobooks, and somebody posted them on YouTube. Okay, that's one kind of a book, right? Let's say a book on real estate or a book on how to build your business and 10x your profits. All of those are written by these people who are like wealthy and rich and famous. And then somebody makes an audio book and then posts that on YouTube. That's one kind of a book that I'll sometimes find on YouTube. But those don't last long because of copyright. Somebody will figure out that their book has been posted on a YouTube channel, and they'll go to YouTube and say, take down my book, right? But the books I'm talking about today are books where I think, and I could be wrong, but this is just my perception, is I think that someone took like a script and used AI just to read from the script, right? And so this one that I'm on right now, these are English audiobooks for listening, right? This is the latest one. There was another one before this that I kept saving the books, and it was some guy who just kept coming out with books every week on different finance topics, like how to save money early on. And while I know these basics about finance, it really helps all of us, I think, to listen to them again and again and get reminded. You know, get reminded of the basics, okay? Which is track your finances and figure out how much income you have and learn to live on less than that amount of income, whatever that amount of income is, so that you have a gap between your income and your expenses. So if your expenses are down here, your income is up here, that gap is what you can save and invest. And so that's a basic principle, right? But we all have to get there. A lot of people spend more than what they make. And now your expenses are higher, right? And you start using credit cards. And I've done all of this. Trust me, I have lived all of this. None of this have I never done. You know, I've lived on credit cards. I've bought real estate. And then when the expenses pile up on you, especially when you're beginning in real estate and you don't have a lot of money, well, then you use your credit cards to paint the house, or you use your credit cards to fix the sink, right? Because you don't have enough income coming in when a roof needs to be replaced. Okay, you go out and you get a loan and you fix the roof and you get your rental property going. So I've done it all. Now that's at rental property area. Before that, when I had a 300 credit score, I had credit cards declined. I took a car back to the dealership, right? And that's called a repossession, just so you know. They didn't come to my house and get the car. I took the car back to the dealership and gave it back, okay? But that still went on my credit report as a repossession. So I had credit cards in default. I had cars repossessed, right? All of this stuff totally tanked my credit score. And at the time, I didn't care because I just didn't know any better. And I was doing the best I could. And that's my point, is that there are a lot of people doing the best they can. Not everybody has more income than they have expenses. The goal is to get there, little by slow. And Lisa J. Stocks was talking about this yesterday. She was saying, somebody asked her a question, if I only have $20, is it really worth saving $20? And my answer today is yes. Now, when I only had $20, I can tell you that's a heart-wrenching feeling. You know, when you say to yourself, that's it? That's all I have? It feels bad. You feel bad. It feels bad. But I can tell you today that I started saving $1. That's it. In my little savings account, I started saving $2. And like I'm doing today, because this is many years later, let's say 30, 40 years later, now every time I get paid, whether it's from teaching income, my pension, rental income, whatever money comes in, I put away $50. So $50 is different than $1, but basically it's the same 30, 40 years later. I am saving tiny amounts of money. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. Do whatever you can do, to start to save money so that you can invest the money and outpace inflation. So, yeah, Mrs. G says it's always good to hear from people who have lived through an experience and can share wisdom on a topic. Well, Mrs. G, that's what we get from you, right? That's why you're the favorite auntie. So, and Mrs. G, I have to tell you, I have a favorite auntie. And I was talking to her a week or two ago. And as you all know, I'm getting a new mobile home. And I was talking to my aunt and I said, I wish that you would retire. And I said, if you come live with me, you could live here for free. I just want you to retire. And so that's my favorite auntie story. And so, excuse me, I'm having allergies here. I'm sorry about that. Let's get back to my topic for today. And so I've got the YouTube studio on one side of me. Then on the other side, I've got my laptop, which shows some of the books that I have in my playlist. And so this is a open public playlist that I hope people will go and watch and find a book. Well, thank you, Mrs. G. I've never done that before. I'm not the relative that you come to and say, hey, I need this. And my aunt didn't come to me and say, hey, I need a place to stay. She doesn't need a place to stay. The issue is that I live in the country. My aunt does not live in the country, and she has no desire to live in the country. However, I made the offer. I just made the offer because my aunts are getting older. I've lost an aunt and an uncle in the past year or two, and so they're getting older. And I just want to see them retire and enjoy life and not work until the day they die. So, and I want that for everybody, just so you know. I'm real big on just retire early. And that's what these audiobooks will help you do. They will help you retire early and enjoy life, which is what I want to do. Is I want to travel in my 60s before I get to be in my 70s and then my 80s. And now I need a walker to try to get on the cruise ship, right? We all see that. Right? We see the elderly people in the wheelchair at the airport. Yes, I want to travel before I'm the elderly person at the airport in the wheelchair. Will I still travel when I'm the elderly person in the wheelchair? As long as I'm not on oxygen, I would imagine yes. But there are elderly people who have breathing problems. And they can't travel because of their breathing problems. And their doctors tell them, you can't travel. You can't even go visit your brother or sister in another state because you have now breathing problems. And so I have family members with that issue. So my point is that do it while you're young. Do it while you're young. Mrs. Paula is in her early 60s. She may just be 60. I don't know, not telling her age. But she has retired, right? Other people retire in their 50s, right? One book that's on YouTube that's not in this playlist that I'm talking about here is the book name, and look this up on YouTube. It's called Quit Like a Millionaire. And it's written by this young lady and her husband who retired. She retired when she was 30 years old. And I love the book. It's on YouTube, and her channel is on YouTube. And she teaches you how to live on less money. And her husband are from Canada. And I'll tell their story a little bit here, is that they are from Canada. And what they do is they travel the world. Now, when they quit like a millionaire, what they first had to do was invest $1 million. And they got serious. And they said, you know what? If we can put away $1 million in investments, we could live off of the income from that $1 million and never touch that $1 million. And really, that's the theory, is that you build up wealth and you live off of the money the wealth generates. You never, ever touch the principal. And that's what people don't understand about retirement, is they think that they'll run out of money. Well, if you never touch the principal, then you'll never run out of money. Or if you have YouTube income that is like a little side hustle and gives you a little bit extra, you'll never run out of money. Because the YouTube income means you'll take less from your other streams of income. And so if you learn how to have these multiple streams of income, then you'll never run out of money. Now, her and her husband, first they had the $1 million because they were high earners in Canada. So they saved up that money. I mean, they scrimped and saved, both of them, till they got that $1 million. Then they realized that they could live on $40,000 a year, which some people call the 4% rule, but it doesn't always work, the 4% rule. But anyway, they said we can live on, well, hi Marlene, great to see you. So yes, that's it, you live off the principal. And Lisa J. Stocks is here. Lisa J., I talked about you earlier in the live, which I always do. I talk about you every week. But anyway, they live off of the principal. Now, back then, when she quit her job at 30 years old and retired, right? I'm talking about the book Quit Like a Millionaire, which you can find on YouTube. It's an audiobook. But the woman who did this, her and her husband quit at age 30. They retired, and they traveled the world. And so they spend part of the year in low-cost countries like Thailand or Bali. And so they can live on $40,000 a year. The other thing that they talk about is how to, now they're from Canada, right? And I think that they moved to the US, I'm not quite sure, but we're gonna talk about the US perspective on this, which is what they talk about is that if you make less than a certain amount of money, you pay 0 taxes on your income. And so what that means is, it doesn't mean that you just bring home a certain amount of money. What it means is, if you have your money in different taxable accounts, different types of accounts, let's say a pre-tax account, a Roth, a brokerage account, various different investment types, you can choose how to pull money from those different types to keep you under the limit where you look to the government as if you have not enough income where you pay 0 in taxes. And I did a video about this because I've watched other YouTube channels explain it, of you can make $100,000 a year and pay 0 in taxes because you're pulling that 100,000 from different investment sources that you have. Now, I learned these things from watching certified financial planners on YouTube. That's one of my geek hobbies that I do. And also from listening to audiobooks. And in particularly, I'm talking about these free audiobooks. And I have a playlist here that everybody can go and watch or listen to. And it's called Finance Audiobooks on YouTube. And I have other playlists Hi, Andy. Thank you for coming. Andy Mon has just a killer channel. He and his wife open Pokemon cards, packs, right? And they have a battle to see who will get, the most valuable card out of the packs, and they get a belt, whoever wins the battle. And so I love watching it. My grandson is really into Pokemon, and I am learning from Andy's channel the value of these cards. Now, they are collectors, he and his wife, but I am just fascinated by the value and the variety of all of these cards. Yeah, so Lisa J. Stock says, I'm a geek and she's a weirdo. So, yes, and so we have to stick together, and so and I'm really trying to stick to my topic, which is I want you guys to look at the various different playlists on my YouTube channel. Now, the playlist that I get, watch hours. The playlist that I get watch hours from are the ones that I created, right? My live streams, my long form videos, those sorts of things. But I also have playlists on my channel of things where if you watch them, I won't get play hours or watch hours. There you go. But I don't care. I want Christiana, thank you so much for coming to my live. I have been watching Christiana for years. Her channel is Well Behaved Wallet, and we set 5-year goals. I think it was 2022, could have been 2023, but we set 5-year goals on her channel. And so one of mine was to go on safari to Africa. And so I have not done it yet, but it's still on my bucket list. And I will tell you guys, just last night, I was looking at a tour on going on safari to Africa. So it starts there, right? You have 5-year goals and you just investigate, right? And someday, okay, I've got the money, right? And then you go. So, and along with that, I'm going to Hawaii in January, which is on my bucket list. I've never been to Hawaii, and it is a dream of mine. So this could be my precursor to going on safari in Africa. See, you've got to have a dream to make a dream come true. So we'll go back to my little books here. In case you're not going to my channel and looking at my free playlist of finance audiobooks on YouTube, and I have other playlists with motivational books or audiobooks on YouTube about building a business, and how to 10x your income in whatever business you have. Lisa J. Stocks is blowing up her YouTube channel. I mean, she's killing it on YouTube. And I am at my little 909 subscribers. So for me, that's blowing up on YouTube, right? She's got a whole different level. She's on a whole different level. And the Fam Adventures is here, which I will call you later today. I promise. I got sidetracked yesterday, but I do have you on my to-call list later today. The Fam Adventures, his family goes on cruises, and I am going to learn how to go on cruises, right? So you've got me going to Hawaii, you've got me wanting to go on safari in Africa, you've got me wanting to go on cruises. This is how you enjoy retirement. Some people say, oh, I'm bored in retirement. No, I am chasing my dreams in retirement. That's what I'm doing. And doing this weekly YouTube live, unreal. That right there is something you never would have seen a year ago. I would have been too afraid to even hit the button on YouTube, let alone be showing my video to people. So, and now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to share stuff with people. The Fam Adventure says they're world travelers. Or I hope that that's what he's saying about himself, that they're world travelers. I love his channel because they know so much about cruising. I mean, just so much. It's like they've been on every single ship in every single company. It's amazing to me. It's amazing. I've been on one cruise. I went to Alaska when I got my master's degree. The gift to myself after getting my master's degree, my first master's degree, was a trip to Alaska. And I went with my mother and her boyfriend. So there were three of us sharing this stateroom thing on the cruise ship. But I had no money when I went on that cruise. And so I want to do it again. I want to do it with money so I can go and do the excursions. You know, they go out and go hang gliding or whatever it is they do on these excursions. I couldn't afford any of them. So how I did it on my little budget, right? And you guys see my t-shirt, so let's talk about me and t-shirts here, is when I went to Alaska on a cruise ship with no money, right? All I did was buy a Harley t-shirt at every port that we stopped at in Alaska. So I had a whole bunch of Harley Alaska t-shirts to ride on my motorcycle. That was the best I could do with the money that I had at the time. And that's what I want to tell you. Do the best you can do with whatever money you have right now, today. We start today in building the wealth. So let's talk about some of the titles here. So one title is How to Transform Your Financial Reality for the Better. And it's an audiobook. I think it's all AI generated. And so they have someone that has a human sounding voice reading from some script that they typed, but I don't care. So, and Christiana says she loves the Eisenhower quote, do what you can with what you have where you are right now. So there you have it. You know, and I put out a quote of the day. I just started this, I don't know if it was a month ago. I just decided one day I'm going to put out a quote of the day. And I looked at a list where I had all these quotes, mostly motivational quotes. And I said, I'm just going to read one of these every day. And it's just like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And then I started getting quotes from other YouTubers. So I didn't even have to use my own quotes. So I still have my quotes, but I'm also getting quotes from YouTubers. So as I watch your channels or as I'm listening to some of these audiobooks, one of these people will say something and I'll say, you know what? I'm going to write that little statement down and it's going to become a quote. And one of those that I just got from a book, which I haven't done as a quote of the day yet, is that your dollar bills are like soldiers. You send them out to the front lines, which is your investments, and have them capture more soldiers and bring them back. That is a quote from one of these audiobooks. And that's why I think everybody should listen to these. Even though I don't get watch hours, I think that you should listen to these audiobooks. Another title is The Best System to Manage Your Money. It can't hurt you. There is no harm in listening to an audiobook about managing your money. Now, I've been managing my money for years. I've been keeping a spreadsheet for well over 15 years. And because I watch a YouTuber in in the UK, right? And she's a young lady, I think she's almost 40, who has multiple rental properties, is well on her way to becoming a millionaire. And I think she wants to do it maybe by the time she's 40. But by watching her channel, she showed her spreadsheet that she uses, which is called the Ultimate Budget Spreadsheet or the Ultimate Wealth Spreadsheet. Anyway, I liked her spreadsheet, and even though I've created my own spreadsheet over the last 15 years, and mine was more like a Frankenstein because the more rental properties I got, the more complex my spreadsheet became. So, and that, now I'm teaching at 4 colleges. I've got rental properties. My spreadsheet was just unreal to try to do a monthly, total of everything. So I asked her, how do I get that spreadsheet that you have? And I actually bought a spreadsheet at the beginning of 2025, late 2024. So I've been using it this whole year, this Ultimate Wealth spreadsheet. Why? Because I saw it on a YouTube channel from the UK. And it took me a while to get the spreadsheet running because I'm used to my custom information. And so I took this spreadsheet, and like the nerd that I am, I could be considered a weirdo, but I'm a nerd. I modified this person's spreadsheet because it did not account for my rental properties. And also, I'm now tracking how much I'm spending every single month in various different categories. And it did not have that level of detail that I want. So what did I do? I added to this person's spreadsheet. So not only do I get her totals, and she has a tab on there, a net worth tracker. If you don't know your net worth, figure it out, because that tells you whether or not you are where you want to be in the future. And I will tell you all, of course, I started with a negative net worth, right? When I started tracking all my finances. Then, when I had a $50,000 net worth, I thought, that's it. That's it. I'm in. I'm all in on this whole net worth tracking thing because I have $50,000 of net worth. And I've been tracking it ever since. So I track my net worth monthly. This spreadsheet tracks it monthly, right? So I'm looking at all of my assets and all of my liabilities, and I see my net worth growing month by month by month. Now, you can always look at January and December and see how has my net worth grown, because in theory, you're growing your net worth. Whatever you're doing, whether you're saving money in a savings account, high yield savings account, whether you are investing in the stock market, whether you are investing in real estate, crypto, whatever you're doing, the theory is, or in retirement accounts like I do with my colleges, whatever you're doing, it should be growing. It should be growing because you're putting more money in, however small it is. Lisa J. Stocks does like $10 a day or $10 a week. If you can do that, do that. So another title is How to Succeed Financially in 2026. Well, there you go. We've talked on this about 2026 goals. And I have 2026 goals. One of my 2026 goals is to travel more. And you all know that I just applied for Social Security, which starts in 2026. And I just called the Social Security office, I think yesterday. Oh, Mrs. G wants me to talk a little bit about high yield savings accounts. And so I will. As soon as I finish my little side trip about Social Security phone call yesterday. So when I filled out the application for Social Security, the first time I went through it, I told them about my years. I was only in the military for 4 years, but that was part of the application. Well, it didn't sort of go through the first time, so I went through and I filled it out again. This time, I think I forgot to tell them about my military. I don't know how I skipped that, but anyway, I called them and I said, I think I forgot to tell you guys about my 4 years in the military, and I want to make sure this doesn't hold me up from getting that check, And the lady said, no, but she said, we had a couple of questions for you, and we reached out, but you didn't answer us. And so anyway, just a couple of minor questions about my birth date and a couple of jobs I had many, many years ago. And so the lady says, Okay, here's how much money you're going to get, and we're going to deposit it in your account in February because Social Security pays in arrears. So even though you start in January, your first check comes in February. So I am going to get $2,904, right? Now that's on top of my pension, my teaching income, my rental income. Okay, so that's going to pay my lifestyle in 2026. So let's get to Mrs. G's question. Thank you, Mrs. G, for asking about that. The high yield savings accounts are better than a big bank brick and mortar account. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Your big banks like Wells Fargo and those kinds of things, right? Any big bank and most credit unions even. I love credit unions over big banks, just so we're clear on that. But even credit unions in their regular savings account, and sometimes even in their money market account, cannot match what you can get in a high yield savings account. What you want to be careful of with a high yield savings account, because you can Google them and they will show you a comparison of various different, online banks that have high yield savings accounts. And they'll say, oh, we have this high percentage, right? And we'll make up a number here, let's say 4%, because as the feds lower interest rates, high yield savings accounts lower what they pay you, right? It's not one-to-one, but they just generally sort of move in the same sort of pattern. So we were getting almost 5% a year or two ago in our high yield savings accounts. Now, it could be down to 3.5% or 4%. I haven't checked my percentage yet, but my point is that 3 or 4% in a high yield savings account is much, much better, 10 times or 100 times better than 0.01% that you get at a big bank or that you get at just a regular savings account. A high yield savings account is better, I don't care. Now, I have to admit, I am very, very late to getting on the bandwagon for a high yield savings account. I just, for whatever reason, I knew about them, but for many, many years, one, I never saved money before. I invest every penny that comes through my door. That's just who I was at the time. But as I've gotten older, I said, you know what, Daryl, I think we need to have a little bit of cash. And so then I said, okay, we'll start this high yield savings account. Now, what I wanted to warn you about, because I didn't want to forget this, a lot of times when you're comparing these high yield savings accounts on like Google or something, they'll show you one that's, oh, we got 5%. And you go, wow, that's much better than this other place over here. They are doing a teaser rate. And so you have to read the fine print. You may have to have a certain minimum amount of money. I don't do accounts where you have to have a minimum amount of money. And Lisa J. Stocks talks about this, that she does Moo and some other investing account, maybe Robinhood, I'm not sure, where you don't have a minimum that you have to put in to invest. And you can buy fractional shares. So you can just keep adding your money to it. I am in Vanguard, where I can buy fractional shares of Vanguard funds. Now, Vanguard has certain funds where there's a $3,000 minimum. I'm not in those funds, right? But if you have $3,000, you can get into like the Admiral Fund. So going back to the high yield, because I'm going off, I'm heading off to the left, as you all know. Going back to the high yield savings accounts, be careful not to chase the highest rate. It may say we're offering this really high rate, but in the fine print, it says for 90 days. And then we go down to the same rate that you could pay somewhere else. So what I decided was, and I have to tell you all, I learned all this high yield savings account stuff from watching the Money Guy show. They are certified financial planners. They're high net worth advisors. And I watched their show. They're over 500,000 subscribers now. And I actually went to their office in Franklin, Tennessee. I was driving by and jumped off the highway and went by their office in Franklin, Tennessee, where they do their YouTube channel. Okay, nerd here, nerd guy. And what happened was they have like a restaurant. Their office is like on a second floor of a building, and I believe they own the building. But anyway, there's a restaurant on the main floor. And so I go into the restaurant, and there are their pictures on the wall next to the elevator in front of this restaurant. So I get my picture taken next to the Money Guy Show guys, right, who's have their pictures on the wall. And someone from their office happens to come down in the elevator while I'm trying to get my picture taken next to their pictures. And I said, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of their YouTube channel. And so I go into the restaurant to have lunch. And this team member from the Money Guy Show comes back down to the restaurant and brings me swag from the Money Guy Show. And you only get the swag if you ask a question on YouTube and get your question answered on YouTube. See, so I now have Money Guy swag. And yes, I'm a YouTube fanboy of the Money Guy Show. But that's where I learned that whole thing about high yield savings accounts and not to chase the yield. So what I'm saying is you don't want to sign up for a high yield savings account and then 3 months later, oh, this other bank over here has a higher rate. I'll move all my money from this bank and put it over in this bank. Oh, 6 months later, this other bank has a higher rate. Oh, I'll take all my money out and move it over there. I don't do that. Now, if you want to do that, you go for it. Everybody do your finances however you want to do that. But I like passive income, right? And I heard a thing this morning, and here's another quote for you guys that I just heard earlier today, is that people don't understand that in order to get passive income, it takes active work. This is one of my real estate podcasts that I listen to, and these people built millions in their real estate rentals. And what they said was most people don't realize when they think rental income is passive income, no, it took active work in the beginning to get to the passive income. And it's the same with the stock market. Lisa J. Stocks is doing the active work now so that someday she can retire early and live on passive income. See, it's active, right? Nobody just gets passive income, but I like passive income. So I'm not chasing one high yield savings account to another high yield savings account. I don't want to do the work. Mr. Lazy here. That's one thing you guys are going to learn about me, okay? I like my money, but I like it lazy. I like it lazy. That's just who I am. You'll never meet a lazier guy than me. Now, will I work 5 jobs? Absolutely. So that I can be lazy. And so in 2026, you're going to see a lot more lazy out of me. Excuse me again. And so, but that's what building wealth is all about. You do this so that you can go on cruises. You do this so that you can go on a safari to Africa. That's why we do the work. But it all starts with saving just a little bit. We don't say, oh, well, I'll save $10 and then next week I'm going on a safari to Africa. No. And Lisa J. Stocks will show this to you on her channel, that you have to put in the work over a long period of time. And that's why I love her channel, is because it's about doing the little things, right? I live on very little income, as you all know. And I do that so that my money can go out there and go to work. I don't want to spend all of my money every single month on my housing, on my food, on my monthly expenses. That's just not me. I want all of my money out there bringing back more money. So that, let's just say I get to the age of 70. I'm just making up a number here. And I decide I don't want to teach anymore. And I decide, don't want to do anything anymore. Don't even want to make YouTube content anymore, even though it's free and fun, that kind of thing. That's why I have a lot of shorts. And people say you shouldn't have shorts on your YouTube channel because you don't get the watch hours and all that. I'm having fun. When YouTube becomes a job, I'll stop doing it because I don't need another job, don't want another job. Mr. Lazy here. And if YouTube shorts are easy to create and I can go on with my life and they're fun. They are fun. Mrs. Paula was doing YouTube shorts in the beginning, and she may go back to this, but she had this alter ego character who had me rolling. I mean, Hilda Joy, that was her name, Hilda Joy. That is her name. And so her alter ego was so funny that it made my day. It made me laugh out loud. And so that's what I mean. Have your shorts, or if unless you want the watch hours. If you're chasing watch hours, do whatever, the YouTube algorithm says to chase watch hours. Also, here's another little side story. I posted on a community post a video from YouTube, which is YouTube Creator Help. I don't know how I got into this particular subscribe thing, but YouTube itself puts out videos to tell you how to become a better YouTuber and how to use the tools and the analytics and how to grow your channel and new AI features that are coming out for YouTube creators. And I get those as little videos and I post them on my community post because I want people who want to make money on YouTube to do that, right? Learn as much as you can about how to grow your channel and about having merchandise and about memberships. Learn everything you can to make as much money as you can because your YouTube income could make money years and years into the future. Oh, good. Sackcloth Queen just subbed to Lisa J. Stocks. See, Lisa J., there you go. Oh, Just Asking Homestead. I just found her. Not just this week, right? She was on a YouTube channel, Investing with Rod, and I was watching his live with her, and I could not believe this woman's out in the country building a chicken coop. Okay, I can't build a chicken coop. Okay, but she is out in the country building her chicken coop, and she's got tons of acres of land, which I wish I had, right? But I have enough trouble with my 8 acres and trying to get somebody to mow that. So, but anyway, I was talking, and I'm going to wrap this up because my lives are once a week, every week, same time, and they go for 1 hour, and then I go on with my life. Now, could I do 5-hour lives? Yeah. Nowadays I can. When I first started, you couldn't get me to do a 10-minute live, okay? Because I'm scared and I'm like a deer in the headlights, right? I'm still like a deer in the headlights. But I told myself, Daryl, you're going to do 1 hour, and then you're going to shut it down. And that way I don't get overwhelmed with, oh my goodness, oh God, Jesus, no. So what we're talking about today are the free playlists that I have on my channel. And please go look at my channel and look at all the different playlists because they're not just my videos. When I learned that you could make public your private playlists, right? Because I have private playlists on subliminal listening where you have like ocean sounds and you listen to them while you sleep, but they tell you you're going to be rich, you're going to make money, you're going to be successful. And you listen to that all night long under the ocean waves. Now, you may not like that. That may not work for you, but I firmly believe in it, right? Now, granted, I've been doing this for 25, 30 years, and today I have wealth. So did it work or did it not work? I don't know. But the point is, it couldn't harm me to listen to something while I was sleeping that told me I was going to build wealth, that told me that I was going to go to college and get a college degree. And so I did that. And you all know I spent 18 years going from high school diploma to PhD. So yes, it takes a while, right? And now, just so everybody knows, I have generated way more income teaching at colleges than I ever spent going to college. So for me, college was a benefit. Nowadays, in this YouTube era and all of the social media type things, you don't necessarily need to go to college to make a lot of money. You do need to go to college if you want to learn how to manage the money and keep the money that you're making on social media, right? We look at sports stars who've lost all their money. They didn't know how to manage their own money, so they turned over that management to somebody else. And that somebody else gave them bad investments. See, so learn to manage your own money and take responsibility for managing your own money, whatever that looks like to you, right? I'm getting more conservative the older I get. So I'm now wanting more cash than when I was young, and I was just like, no cash, all money goes into investments. Well, now I have enough investments that I now want more cash. And it's sort of that change of life thing, but I also don't do those life funds, the funds where you put the money in and the algorithm or the computer decides whether you're going to go to more conservative bond funds as you get older. I've never had bond funds, right? I've always had aggressive growth funds. I sort of follow Dave Ramsey on that, just in case anybody knows. Me and Dave Ramsey, when we're in debt, scorched earth to pay off the debt. That's how we roll. And so I get in debt, putting a down payment on real estate, then I do scorched earth to pay off that down payment so that that real estate now stands on its own. And I don't owe any money on the real estate. And my residents pay off the real estate. Because people say, oh, I don't want real estate because I don't want all those mortgages and I don't have them. My residents pay those. Did I have to pay in the beginning? Absolutely. My first one or two, I was coming out of pocket from my W-2 paycheck to get over the hump with that. See, so you have to have active involvement in your future passive income. That's how this works. So don't think that you get passive income for free. It takes years and it takes work. I'm almost at my time, so I want to read just a couple more titles, but I know you guys can go to my YouTube channel and look at the playlist, Finance Audiobooks on YouTube. And I have some other ones that are public playlists. But how to stay focused on your financial success. I mean, that title right there is enough to motivate you. Even if it's all you think about that one day is how do I stay focused on my success, whatever that means to you. If it means helping the earth, it's not about just I want to be rich. Some people want to do good in society. And so if that's your thing, then let that be your success, your definition of success. My definition of success is I want to be able to afford a Rolls Royce. I don't want to have to buy a Rolls Royce. I want to have the ability to buy a Rolls Royce if I want to buy a Rolls Royce. See, that's my definition of success. Will I ever get there? I don't know. But I'm going to have fun until I get to the point where I have the ability to buy a Rolls Royce. That's all. That's all. We're going to enjoy life. And if someday I ever buy a Rolls Royce, trust me, you guys will see it here on YouTube. You'll say, he said that he could someday do this, and he someday did this. I mean, we'll make up some scenario where this could actually happen, right? Before I get off of here, because my time is up, let's just say I get to be 80 years old, and I say to myself, for my 80th birthday, I'm going to sell all my real estate and buy a Rolls Royce, because someday I said I was going to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? Everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. And that's what I believe. Nothing is impossible. So I have run out my time, and I hope that I've explained high yield savings accounts. And because this was on my heart to talk about my playlists, which don't get me watch hours, but I want to help inform other people about what's out there and what's free on YouTube. I hope that people will go and listen to these free audiobooks, and also go look up the book that I talked about earlier, Quit Like a Millionaire. That will tell you, if somebody else can quit and retire at the age of 30, that you could do it at the age of 35, at the age of 45. I retired early at 58 and a half, which is late, but I only started building wealth at 48. So in 10 years, I did it and was able to retire on a low income with a low amount of money. Since retirement, I have increased my wealth. So you don't have to say I retired and stopped. No, retirement's just another leg on your journey. If you were building wealth before you retired, you'll continue building wealth after you retire. It doesn't just stop. So I want to encourage everybody, save your money, build wealth, and I will be back next week, hopefully with a topic. Hi, Investing with Rod. I sent you a message on Instagram, but because I don't use Instagram all that often, I try to go back in there and look for a reply from anybody, and I never see anything. And so I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, or I don't know. But anyway, hopefully I'll connect with Investing with Rod. So, and everybody, thank you all for coming by. I really appreciate it. I'm seeing so many people that I've just met on YouTube, just recently met on YouTube. And so I hope to crisscross the country and actually meet people that I've met on YouTube, because that's what's fun for me in my retirement. 912. Get out of here, Daryl. I had 907 yesterday. I had 907. And my childhood friend from elementary school made it 908. So there you go. And she kicked off whatever's happening now. See y'all later, and I will be back next week, hopefully with a scripted topic next week. Talk to y'all later. Bye.